Okay, well, this is a fender that I had laying around, and as you can see, there's a bad spot right here. It's got a dent in it. There's also some more bad spots along the side here. Um, let's see if we can make this look a little bit better. And there's also some back in here. The chrome on here is really rough, so that might not be a good example, but we're trying to make the chrome look good. So this has got a dent, rust, chipped out chrome, everything. So let's see if we can make this look better. So the first thing we're going to do is get this fender cleaned up. We don't need to be working in dirt. We'll see what we're working with and see what we can do here. There's also another missing piece of chrome right in here, right below the hole, as you can see. That might be a good spot also to deal with. So I've sprayed down the fender with some glass cleaner, and we will proceed to see if we can get it to work and cleaned up a little bit. Yeah, that's not a real pretty fender, that's for sure. It's just an old XS 650 fender that had been cut off, and it's really not in good shape. It's been sitting around forever. And the bottom side of it is really bad, but we're just fiddling around here. And there's dents and all sorts of nasty stuff going on with it. But at least we got the main junk off. Okay, so we're going to try and work in this area right here, and we'll see how we do. So I'll take a little acetone, and let's see if we can't get some of the markings off of this that were on here. Oh yeah, that cleans it right up. So we've got a nice, fairly clean spot now where we're going to be working. So the first thing I'm going to do is start to pound out this dent. Now the dent is not too bad. But it's probably 1/8 of an inch deep. A little hard to see on camera, but it's fairly deep, and it's got a big rust spot right in the middle of it. So we'll be dealing with that. This camera, I'm just kind of moving it around here, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this, and I have a plate right here that is cleaned up. It's been sanded. It's nice and smooth. This is just a piece of 1/4 inch plate, and it gives me something to beat against. And what that allows me to do is that the part of the fender here that we need to pound out, we will lay that flat on this, and instead of trying to use something to shape it on the outside, we're just going to go against the flat surface. So here we go. We're going to just pound on this a little bit and get some of this out of here. And that flat surface on our 1/4 inch plate will allow us to get it shaped fairly well. So the dent is about half gone at this point. It needs a little more. I'm going to work on this some more. Okay, so the dent is getting there. I'm going to get a smaller hammer so I can work on the smaller version of this. And I've got this little tiny hammer. This guy is just teensy-weensy. But it allows me to hit accurately. Alright, so our dent is just about gone. Maybe just a little more still. Takes a little bit of doing to get this right. Okay, now that our fender is fairly flat in there, and we're fairly flat in there, I'm going to go on ahead and grind this down a little bit and see if we can't get it to look flat. Okay, I'll aim the camera out at me a little bit. And here we go. And we're down to the bare metal. We've gone through the plating, and I'm just sanding down a little bit more of the dent that's sitting in here. I probably need to hit it a couple more times with a hammer because it's here to make the dents perfect, but we're getting pretty close to it. Still got just a little bit in there. I'm going to go get a fresh piece of sandpaper. I'm just going to work it down a little bit more. And our dent is pretty much gone. The rust is almost gone. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this over to the buffer and I'm going to buff this off first. Be right back. And the buffer allowed us to see any more imperfections in there, and it's really hard to pick up on camera, but this is bare metal. There's some nickel in here, and this is not bright nickel. This is just kind of regular nickel, and then the chrome is completely scratched. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a much lighter grit sandpaper and get it just a bit smoother, and just take some, we're taking 400 right now, and we'll just smooth this off. Now the dent is, actually the place where the dent was is pretty good, but it's not great at the moment. I mean, you really wouldn't be able to see it. I can feel it a little bit when I sand across it, but this is not about, this is more about fixing chrome. But a good dent repair doesn't hurt either. Alright, so back to the buffer. I'll be back. Okay, so we're back. We're going to put a last tone on this to a little warm at the moment, to get off the excess buffing material. And let that cool a little bit. Okay, so now we have a fairly clear area in here, and our dent was right there, and it's pretty much gone, but there's a bare spot of bare metal here. We can see a little bit of nickel, and then the chrome is back off in this way. So now we're going to replate this with nickel. Okay, so what we're going to use here is some bright nickel plating solution, and you use bright nickel. It gives you more of a chrome effect. So we'll be using that, and what we'll also be using is a makeup pad. There's a little makeup pad. Okay, I've got a nickel anode here that I've hooked up to the positive side of a power supply, and I have the ground, which will hook to the fender. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to take this nickel plating solution and we will dump some onto our mop that up. Don't want to waste the stuff. It's not super cheap. It's not really expensive, but it's not real cheap. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to go in and see if we can see this. Turn on our power supply. And we're shorting out here. We want to run at about 5 volts. And so we can go on back here, and we are going to go hit the spot that we have buffed off, and that is right here. This is where our piece was. So now what I'm going to do is wrap this nickel anode around our soaked piece here, and I'm just going to start rubbing. And what I'm doing right now is I'm brush plating this fender with nickel. And there's kind of almost an amp going through. And I'm just brushing it on and slowly working it and getting around the spot that we ended up with bare metal. And that's right in this spot that you see me working. And it's putting off some pretty nasty fumes, so it's kind of keep your head out of it. And you just kind of work it around. You don't want to short it out, because this power supply is good about it. But and as you can see, it kind of puts on a strange, dullish plating on it. But that will fade away. That's just the liquid going in there. So now we're getting a good coat. We're actually nickel plating the fender. Now, is it as durable as chrome? Absolutely not. Will it look good? Absolutely yes. We just have to keep on working it in a little bit. We're not working it in, we're just going over it. Everywhere we touch, it's plating. So we're getting plating on there, and it gets, the more you do it, the thicker it gets. And I'm going to turn down the amperage a little bit, which I can do. That's good reason to use a power supply. And we're still running about a couple of amps here. Okay. Our bare spots have been nickeled over. There's no more, they've got nickel plating on there. They will not rust. It's pretty durable. Nickel will tarnish over time. There's no doubt about it. But it's super easy to bring it back. Okay, so now, I think we've done enough here. Grab a little more of this. And I'll just work it just another few seconds. But there is no evidence of metal showing through in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so that's good. Let me turn this off. And we'll take a little glass cleaner and just wipe this thing off. Okay, so now we're plated. So the only thing that we need to do now is buff it off a bit. And the first thing we'll do is we'll just do it with a little bit of Mother's and see how it looks. Now we may have to use a buffer on it because this was a pretty chewed up fender, but that's okay. We'll just use a little bit of Mother's polish on there. And it's already starting to shine up beautifully. Okay, let me wipe this off. And if you look, there was our dent was right about here. Our dent was right about in here. And as you can see, the nickel, now this fender is wavy, but as you can see, the nickel has completely covered the bare spots, and it shines just as nicely as chrome. Now, is it a perfect repair? Absolutely not. But if you got a rust spot, this is dynamite. I haven't wiped it off all that well. There's still some little streaks in it. But you can see a little more work and that would be just beautiful. So that's how you nickel plate and repair a rust spot.